John Galluzzo.
Okay, and tell us a little bit what you're here today to do.
I'm here to talk about my book, Crime, Corruption, and Politics.
Okay, hold that up.
Yeah, that's the one.
Okay, yeah.
I was just trying to remember the name. I've written so many. And it's really the combined stories of Boss Smith, who was the head of the old Ring, the Citizens Association in 1900 through 1940, and Floretta Vining, who was the editor of the local paper, and how they clashed from time to time, and eventually how Boss Smith's old Ring crumbled in the 1930s. A lot of fun inside politics in Hull that you wouldn't believe could happen in a small town like this with between 250 and say 1,000 people.
What was your inspiration to write it?
Actually, it's something I've been studying for maybe a decade now. I've written a whole bunch of books on Hull, and this is getting to the political side was a lot of fun.
When did you finish it?
Oh boy, this was actually about 5 books ago, so I can't tell you exactly when it was, but it came out early this year, so I must have finished it late last year, 2006.
Wonderful. Are you doing? I know you're doing the reading here today. Are you doing other readings anywhere else?
Oh, from time to time, yeah. It depends on. I've got so many books out, so many towns that I'm always reading something every week to somebody. So I did one Hull Freezes over in Weymouth a couple of weeks ago. There's always something going on. Friends. As a matter of fact, the first public lecture I ever did was for the Friends of the Hull Public Library. And my poor mother was sitting in the front row, and because she wanted to be there for support, it was over at the town hall.
Oh, I remember that.
And I figured, boy, if I'm going to do this, I got to get up and I got to crack a joke because I'm so nervous about talking in front of the class. And I said, Corey Basenfeld asked me to do something to mention the Friends or something. And so I stood up there and I said, okay, now before I begin, is there anybody here in this room I need to be convinced to become a member of the Friends of the Hull Public Library besides my mother? I pointed right at her. So she ran to the back of the room and wrote a check. That's strange, she's not here today. Story too about how there was a funeral parade one day coming through up to the cemetery, and as soon as they all got up to the top of the hill, they looked around, made sure nobody was looking, opened up the casket, everybody grabbed their bottle and ran. So there definitely was, again, you know, this little kind of what better place to do that kind of stuff.
I even remember, because we started coming here in 1928, and I remember the coal boat coming in and being unloaded on A Street. And you know, I can just barely picture the structure that this happened in, but you know.
And I forgot to mention too, guess who ended up buying out that whole operation down there? It was a combination of John Smith and John Wheeler under a fake businessman. So they ended up undercutting him and buying it at a really bad price. So. But yeah, there was one great rum running tale too that Henry Stevens was involved with, and that's there were rum runners coming ashore down at Gun Rock Beach, and you think about how quiet that must be in the wintertime. You know, perfect little spot to come in. Well, the Coast Guard found out about it, so the Coast Guard went flying down there in a truck actually, and they jumped out and they had their guns and they said, "All right, you guys are coming with us." Well, the rum runners kind of suspected this might happen, so they had guys posted behind the rocks, and they popped up and put their guns in the backs of the Coast Guardsmen, said, "No, you're coming with us," started to walk them down the beach, when suddenly Henry Stevens and the police come flying in, and they put their guns in and said, "Nobody move," and they were able to stop the entire thing, and the Coast Guardsmen were saved. So some great stories.